r/ask Reddit. What's been explained to you repeatedly, but you still don't understand? I took statistics 3 times in college. I received a D, an F, and then an A. I have no idea what was happening in any of those classes. On the bright side, you averaged a C. I was horrible at math in high school. Due to my low grades, I was in the most bare minimum math classes, and I didn't really care. Then, I decided to go into a science program in university, which requires math courses. I had to upgrade my math before they let me take actual university math courses. There was a point when I was upgrading from my HS dummy math to real math where things clicked. They clicked in a way that made me feel like there's a whole different world that exists that I have ignored for 12 years of schooling. It's like when you get a Bethesda game you haven't played before, with a whole new world to explore. Well, maybe not that fun, but you get the idea. I love statistics. Which outcomes could we assume will occur more than others? The math involved is simple and the actual discipline is so applicable to real life that it's ridiculous. By far some of my favorite classes in university. To instinctively know if you're headed north, south, east or west, you want to head west on Main, or left. I have never understood how people do it without mountains. I live in Salt Lake City, in the valley. Those mountains are east. Those are west. North and south are natural if you've got that. Growing up in SLC is navigation on easy mode. I've been out for 4 years and I'm still an absolute moron in my new city. Why does this road curve? Why is it named after a tree and not a number? We had it easy, dude. Side story for why does that road curve? We were visiting my great grandfather. He grew up in the same area all his life. Seen it go from super rural to still pretty rural. But at least roads are paved now. There's this straight back road that has one random curve out and back in. Mini's that. It's a straight line. He told us that when he was young, a tree fell there and people started going around it. So when the road was paved and that tree was long gone, it kept the curve, even though there was no reason to. The fact that the universe is expanding but that it's not expanding into anything. I find it conceptually easier to think that the space between stuff is getting larger. This is the more correct interpretation anyway. How could the space between stuff get larger without an outer boundary? There very well may be a boundary. It doesn't seem likely, but it hasn't been ruled out. However, it doesn't really matter for the expanding universe. If it is infinite, you can think of the universe as a flat piece of stretchy paper with grid lines on it. As it expands, each grid line gets farther apart from every other grid line. If the universe is finite, it is curved in some way. Think of this as a sphere. The cliched example is a balloon. As you blow it up, each point gets farther from every other because the fabric is stretchy, even though the boundary has changed. This ignores a few possibilities, but is a good picture without getting technical. Making timesheets during my unpaid internship. Bitcoin. It's money. On the internet. Ha came here to say this. There's nothing like the steep decline in confidence from the first 60 seconds someone tries to explain Bitcoin to the next 60 seconds where they steadily realize they have no idea how it actually works. Some guy was trying to get me invested a few months ago. He's like, man, the market is about to be huge. And I'm like, oh no thanks. I don't understand it. I see a lot of stuff in the news about it right now. And I honestly can't tell if all those people are now rich or broke. I can't figure out what the duck any of it means. Why people make their beds as a daily chore instead of not doing that. I recently started making my bed after 23 years of not doing it and it's just more inviting, so walk in and see the bed made and clothes picked up. Makes me think I have at least some control. Also it kicks the day off on a high note, you know. You told yourself you were gonna do something and then you did that thing. That's a nice way to think about it. I'm gonna do that. That's a nice way to think about it. I'm still not gonna do that. What the numbers in your blood pressure mean? The problem is I've asked almost every person that has taken my blood pressure this question and have never gotten a good answer. Usually they have no idea. The top number is the amount of pressure there is when your heart beats. The bottom number is the pressure in your heart in between beats. That's a better answer than I've received from more nurses people taking test. Thanks. But how much pressure? Say 120/80. Is that C? Or If you are pumping 120 over 80 C, you must be made of metal. Where did actors' motivation to do boring shit come from? Focus on the purpose of boring tasks, not the inherent interest of the task itself. If the task has no purpose, don't do it. Hate balancing spreadsheets? Judy from payroll really needs those. And you like Judy. Hate working out? Being buff is awesome. And you want to look awesome. Hate ironing sheets? Why are you ironing sheets? That makes no sense. Stop ironing sheets. This is exactly what I was ducking missing. I'm gonna try this. Thank you. Now hurry up with those spreadsheets, Judy. A lot of the aspects of programming. Did I mention I have a programming job? I feel like my life right now is that old I have no idea what I'm doing meme. IDK if it will make you feel better. But the majority of folks commenting have similar sentiments. Do you at least enjoy your work? If not, why are you doing it? I do enjoy it. I'm just a beginner is all. Fresh out of college and my boss hired me specifically because he wants to train me a specific way. I'm not complaining about the pay either. How sewing machines work. Just got a sewing machine for Christmas. Was 3D'ing it for the first time and I was like cool. I did it. It works. But I have no idea how. Music. I learnt it at school for a few years but I can't tell you a single thing. I have no ear for it and tone deaf. I've tried so many times but nope. Violent initiation. Brotherhoods in fraternity, military, gangs and all sorts of groups. I don't under the camaraderie that is born from your new friends or family beating on you for a predetermined amount of time. Art, paintings, sculptures, frescoes, etc. I just don't get it. When I look at a piece of art, I have to have someone there to explain it, or I won't get it. You don't have to get it. I swear I'm not copping out here. Not everything in life, books, movies, anything is going to resonate with you. That's okay. But if you see a painting and you are reminded of an old friend, or a place you used to visit, or any memory good or bad, it's a small thing, but that's sometimes all the art can do. But it did do something. Sometimes seeing a marble sculpture isn't feeling awe of the pose, but simply admiring and taking a moment to imagine the hundreds of hours and patience it took to chisel. Video games too. I make art for video games and virtually cannot stand them. They just don't speak to me. But hopefully one person plays them and it does do something for them. Art isn't for everyone. It's just for those who needed it. The Monty Hall problem. I can watch videos, read explanations and I can't wrap my head around it. You pick a door, and you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting it right. That's locked in, right? You can't do shit to change it. 3 doors, 1 car, 1 in 3. Simple. Monty eliminates one of the doors, but he's not allowed to eliminate the car. The door that he discards has to have a go behind it. Now, there are 2 options in play here. Either you pick the car, in which case, Monty can discard either door. They both contain goats. Or you picked a goat, in which case, Monty has to discard the one door he knows has a goat behind it. He doesn't get any say in it, which means that the only door he doesn't discard is to contain the car. It's in this last section where the trick lies. Monty has no choice about which door he discards. If you chose the door with a goat, the rules of the game say he has to leave the car behind. If the car is behind any of the doors you didn't choose, has to, no alternative. So now you're faced with 2 scenarios. Either you pick the car first time, which would happen 1/3 of the times you play, and the other door by definition doesn't contain the car, and so switching is bad. Or, you didn't pick the car the first time, which would happen 2/3 of the times you play, which means the other door must contain the car, because that's how the rules of the game are set out. If you follow me so far, what's the logical solution? And if you don't follow me, where's the part where you get stuck? Cameras and their ISO, shutter speed, and those other things. Moles, not the animal chemistry, and I like chemistry. Isn't it just like the word dozen? It's just 6.02 x 1023 over something. So you could have a mole of Fiat 500s? I don't understand how the Bible is ever taken literally. It was written by humans and several times it's been edited. The church even admits it. Why is it considered controversial to say that the Bible is basically a religious anthology? Just my opinion here. For context, I grew up as a non-denominational Christian and consider myself agnostic now. Most people do not grow up, pick up a Bible, read it, and then rationally, critically decide to follow what it says. Usually they are born into it. Every day their parents mention God. Every week they go to church. Every night at dinner they pray. Their parents also teach them to feed themselves, how to play nicely, how to brush their teeth. They explain things to them when they are confused. They give helpful advice. A kid learns all the basic factors of life from their parents. And they learn religion too. Why shouldn't it be true? Why shouldn't they believe it? Mom loves me, and she made me mashed potatoes tonight. And she gave me a band-aid when I skinned my knee yesterday. And she helped me read my first book. And she says God is real. Dad loves me, and he taught me to ride a bike. And he helped me with my homework last night. And he knows so much about his job. And he says the Bible is true. People are told these things from the moment they are born by people whom they love and trust. Smart and capable people. Questioning it can feel like questioning their parents' intelligence and goodwill. And since the core requirement is just that you believe in God and Jesus, many people don't bother to really read the Bible. They believed because they were told it was true by people they trusted. And that was that. I read the story versions when I was little. The ones paraphrased for kids. I missed a lot of stuff because of it. But I felt like I basically knew the Bible well enough and didn't care to read the real thing. It was long and boring and I was lazy. I figured other people around me, my minister, my parents, etc., had read it, and so I took their word for things. I don't think my family specifically ever professed that the Bible was literal in every way, but we certainly believed a good chunk of it was. The miracles, stories, etc. I am not religious now, partially because I realized that I was only religious because I was born into it, and that no one I had ever met had been there to see these things happen, and they knew no better than I did. Questioning the legitimacy of the Bible is questioning what people have known for their entire lives. For many, it is a huge chunk of their moral backing and lifestyle. It is interwoven into everything they do. In addition, the penalty for not believing is an eternity of suffering. It's so much safer to just believe it. So doubt is met with shock and anger and anguish, because so much hinges on the fact that this thing is true. Many people don't ever give themselves the opportunity to doubt. I tried not to for a long time. Health insurance. Multiple people have tried to explain different plans and I still can't wrap my head around it. I just finally asked them what smarter single mid-30s males get, and get that. I don't even know if they're telling me the truth. Honestly, Microsoft Excel. I'm pretty good with computers in a general sense, and was even trained in how to use most all of the Adobe suite of programs. I just cannot, for the life of me, understand how to get Microsoft Excel to work. I've been taught multiple times, but it never sticks. Every time that I try, it just seems to go in one ear and right out the other. Effect or affect. Younger me thought affect specifically referred to a person's demeanor. So and so had a blunted affect. So today I still have no idea when to use affect versus effect. I affected you with a punch to the face. The effect was a broken nose. How to play Minesweeper. Each of the numbers indicate how many bombs are near them in their 3x3 area around them. So if it says 2, then there are 2 bombs somewhere in the 8 spaces around that tile. Additionally, you have to look at several numbers together and hopefully be able to reason out which squares are bombs. Eigenvalues. I did well in linear algebra in college, and I got a nice solid A, yet someone mentioned eigenvalues today, and it reminded me I never had any kind of grasp on what an eigenvalue actually is or what on earth I'd use it for. I was able to learn all the rules and complete all the problems and proofs just great, but I had no idea what I was actually doing while I was doing anything with eigenvalues. Oddly enough, a lot of the rest of linear algebra made a lot of sense to me. Representing a set of simultaneous linear equations as a matrix is logical. I can see exactly how putting it into reduced row echelon form gives you the solutions for all the equations. I could see how there are certain rules about how you can manipulate matrices, like why matrix multiplication isn't necessarily commutative, and a whole lot of other things, but not eigenvalues. They're just opaque to me. the philosophy of Immanuel Kant and the philosophical concept of phenomenology. Kant, I could probably understand, but my eyes glaze over even when reading Roger Scruton's book on Kant for the very short introduction series. I've read other of Scruton's books and followed it pretty well, but OMFG, the Kant just puts me to sleep. Phenomenology, I think, might be a con job from the start. Phenomenology is the late child of Aristotle's realism, but more honest about the subjective position of whoever is experiencing that phenomena. If you're outside a dark room and you can't see what's happening inside, maybe it's God creating a new universe in a marble, maybe it's a gay orgy. Either way, phenomenology doesn't give a rat's ass. Things exist and are perceived by you and me. We start from there. Obviously I listen to music, but I can't tell you anything in depth about songs. I can barely clap in rhythm most of the time. It's probably why I prefer lyrics over the music, because I can understand it better. Algebra. How to play euchre. Electricity, I mean, I can read about it in a textbook and understand the words I'm reading, but to really think about it, the whole idea of it is impossible for me to process. Dance. I get the idea that concepts and emotions and interpretations of things can be expressed by people making poses and jumping around. But no matter how it's explained to me or how much of it I watch, all I see is people making poses and jumping around. It communicates nothing to me. That scene on Jim Henson's Labyrinth where one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. I can never understand her logic behind solving the riddle. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.